Hello, hello, it is I, Michael, aka MTJ Disorder, coming at you again with another episode of Metal Mondays. Tonight we actually have a special guest on the show, so we're going to go away from format for a little while. First of all, before we get to that, I would like to introduce my brother-in-arms, Phil. Say hi, Phil.
What's up, Metal Mondays?
How have you been, buddy?
Good, great.
Had a good week?
Yes.
Not work too hard?
Yes, a lot of work, a lot of metal.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Well, that's pretty much been the same for me, except I haven't worked because I am still fighting my back issues. But without further ado, I feel like we should get on to introducing our guest for the night. Our guest, anyone who's watched the show in the past might be familiar with this band. It's called Malice Divine. We showcased the Quantum Manifestation track, which is the titular track off of the album Quantum Manifestation. And the mastermind behind this project is none other than Ric Galvez. Say hi, sir.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. Real happy to have you on the show, especially after we got to sample it, and I've been listening to it non-stop, so I'm just going to have a little bit of a little we're not worthy moment right here.
Yeah.
We're not worthy.
Very flattering.
Yeah. But I feel like
that Wayne's World moment, you know?
Yeah,
exactly.
Those guys in front of Alice Cooper.
Yes, you are our Alice Cooper for today. So with that being said, I feel like first question I'm going to want to throw at you here is just why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory and history about yourself in music, how you got into metal, when you first started playing instruments, writing music, and just kind of give us a little bit of a synopsis on the story of Ric Galvez and Malice Divine.
Okay. Well, it goes back to 2004 when I first started playing guitar. I was age 12 back then. So I spent a couple of years, just learning the basics and started writing my first songs around like 2007, 2008-ish,
Mm-hmm.
Resulted, in actually my first ever solo project many years ago, which I released like a couple demos of, about a decade ago now. Didn't really go anywhere past that. But after that, I was playing in a couple bands, a couple of local bands in the Toronto area. The most notable one was a band called Astra of Incarnate. I was with them from 2016 to 2019. Released 2 EPs of those guys. And then in 2019, it didn't work out with them. So I decided to go full speed ahead with, my next project, which ended up being Malice Divine. That's what I've been doing, pretty much as like my sole musical project ever since then.
Awesome.
I just released my self-titled debut album like about a month ago now, actually, and reception has been pretty damn good so far, I gotta say.
So this is a recent endeavor then?
Yeah, very recent. Like I said, the album just came out a month ago.
When did you first start writing for this album?
I'd say I started writing the album around like 2017-ish. Okay. The thing is, some of the material actually goes back like way further than that. Like, for example, the song Intuitive Realization was actually a song I wrote in 2010, like way before I was even doing like Astra of Incarnate or Malice Divine or anything like that. So that was actually a song that was left over for my first ever solo project back then, which I only just did a couple demos of. But other than that, like I'd say like most of the songs started to take shape, around 2017-ish. And then by like 2019, I'd say that's when like, I had like most of the album like ready to go. And I was able to, get to work on tracking it pretty soon.
So it's safe to say the concept itself has been present in the creative center of your mind for quite some time. And it just...
Yeah, it really has been, because unfortunately, at first it took a while for things to really take shape because, I was already so busy with things like, my previous band and, I was busy, school as well and working part-time, but hey, at least it happened, so.
All right. Well, I'm going to defer to Phil right here.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're freestyling and talking, like we do. But for sure, I had a ton of questions for you. Basically, you say that you've been writing for this project since maybe 2017. For sure, we can tell by listening to the album, it's very it's a mature sound, the compositions, you know, we can tell you didn't just write this in a month and like with a bunch of filler stuff. It's everything is at the right place, and to us it really boggles our mind, like how can one guy do that. So my first question to you is, so you say you've been playing guitar since 2004. Well, obviously, for people who don't know, you also did the bass and the vocals. And did you have as much experience, I mean, with the bass and vocals, or you had kind of to, you know, focus on practicing this for your album?
Yes and no, because I definitely have had, you know, experience, you know, playing bass and doing vocals in the past. But there definitely was, you know, like a pretty, you know, long period before, like, you know, I was doing Malice Divine, you know, as my main project, where I didn't even really do, you know, much vocals at all, other than like doing some backup vocals in my previous band. So I'd say, yeah, vocally, there was definitely like a lot of practicing that had to go into it. You know, I had to, you know, get myself, you know, back into the groove of things, you know, with the vocals, because, you know, if you don't do something for a while, you know, your skill level tends to go down a little bit, you know. So, you know, it took, you know, a little bit of time just to get, you know, myself back up to where I used to be, and then even, you know, better than that. But, you know,
it's to me that, to me that's very impressive. Michael plays guitar and sings. You play guitar, you sing. I play guitar, I try to sing. But to me, you know, because back vocals, no problem, I can do them all day. But to actually lead a project like this, and it's you know, it takes a lot of effort to do both, right? Both the guitar and the voice. So
yeah, and then also, you know, the bass as well, and even just like all the songwriting in general. You know, it's definitely a lot of work, but you know, I loved it, so I ain't complaining.
Oh, that's awesome. Basically, so the only two other members, I mean, the people that play on your project, you have two very special guests. Of course, you have Dylan Gowen from Banger TV playing drums.
You know, he did the session drums for like every single song on the album. He did a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And but so you programmed the drums, and he kind of added his sauce to it a little bit, or?
Yeah, exactly. So I wrote pretty much all the drum parts, or most of them at least, you know, in Guitar Pro, and then I sent the Guitar Pro files over to Dylan. And he has learned all the songs from that. You know, added his own fills. You know, refined some things. Even like added a couple of drum grooves of his own. Like for example, in Ancient Visions, like during the second half of the verse, you know however it's that like tribal drum groove. Before the chorus happens. Yeah, that was something actually that Dylan came up with, you know. So I'm really glad, you know, I had him on board for that, because, you know, I really think it made the song like so much better, you know.
So if I could just interject real quick, was there a basic idea, a composition for the drums that you had in mind, and then you just threw them at him and basically let him, as you say, fill in the blanks?
Yeah, like I'd say like I did like 95% of the writing, and like whatever, you know, seemed to be like more natural, you know, for like the fills and stuff like that, or even like little, you know, differences of the drum grooves I wrote, you know, he definitely brought that to the table. But I definitely did like write like the foundation of like all the drum parts.
That's excellent in and of itself, though, that you got the professionalism from a drummer to work compositionally with you on something. You know, it's not like the typical collaborative effort you're going to get from your garage bands when you're just constantly butting heads. You were able to actually sit down and have a really nice professional music conversation with this drummer and work together to make sure the vision was seen. That's pretty sweet. I really like that. Really appreciate that.
There's a lot of drumming going on. I mean, you know, sometimes in just a 16 bar, he changes 4 times. You know, he's blasting and he's half tempo, and you know, so it's a lot of change of grooves there. So for you to, I imagine you had those in mind, and basically,
you know, like I had, you know, all the ideas in mind for like most of the drum parts, you know, to go along with the guitar, and just to make sure that like every instrument, you know, like complements each other.
Cool. That's awesome.
So as a songwriter, I visualize, you know, how like the whole thing will go with like all the instruments. You know, I don't think, you know, just like, you know, only about the guitar, even though like that's my main instrument, you know. I like to think about like, you know, the bigger picture and like how every instrument's going to fit in with, you know, all the other ones.
Yeah,
Very
you're a
interesting.
composer, basically.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like having your brass section is your, or your strings is your bass section, your brass section is your lead, and then you got your percussive section. You know how to orchestrate the music to really match that vision. That at least that's an observation that I make from.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, that's exactly what I was going for.
Well, and it's a difficult skill, to be honest. Very few.
Yeah, you know,
very few have achieved
it's very time consuming too. You know, time consuming, but it's a lot of fun nonetheless.
I bet.
I imagine you mentioned you wrote most of it or everything on Guitar Pro.
Yeah, I wrote pretty much the entire album on Guitar Pro, except for the vocals, obviously.
Yeah.
But all the instruments, you know, were written, or at least like the basic ideas of the instruments were written in Guitar Pro.
That's cool. That's cool. And we'll talk about Shredders of Metal a little later, but obviously I thought that's where you maybe had met Dylan Gowen, but from a brief conversation we had off air, you told me that you actually knew him before that show.
Yeah, you know, like I've known him, just from like just being a part of the Toronto music community.
Okay.
You know, because he plays in Vesperia and has another project called Iomir, and you know, when I was an Astra for Carne, you know, he came out to like a bunch of our shows when I was, in the band. So I got to know him, through that, even before Shredders of Metal.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And we have a question actually from the chat. Someone is asking us, someone is Trevor, for people who, it's the harder guitarist in the band. He's asking what kind of gear did you use on the album? So maybe not naming everything, but if any particular pieces of gear you'd like to talk about.
That's a great question. I love talking about gear. So for all the electric guitars, I used my Jackson Pro Series Dinky, a charcoal gray one, but it's all over my Instagram feed. And that was a guitar that was used for all the electric guitars. We actually tracked the electric guitars originally with Neural DSP software.
Wow!
But after the recording process was complete, then we reamped all the guitars.
Right.
So for the reamping, we used a Mesa 4x12 cabinet. And we also used, I believe, a EVH 5153 head as the main tone for the rhythm guitars. We also blended in my Marshall JVM with that as well.
Okay. Awesome.
And that was the sound for the rhythm guitars. And then for the lead guitars, it was just my Marshall JVM head with the Mesa 4x12 cabinet.
All classics right there. Yeah. I'm glad you started to talk about the Neural, because I got that too, and that's how we also went on here when I record, from abroad or whatever. It's a good tone just to get the feeling of the
Neural DSP has great software, and when we were tracking the guitars, to me it felt very similar to like playing through a real amp.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic, and sounds really good for software. So. Cool. At least that way, when you reamp later, you don't have to worry about the tone right away.
Mm-hmm.
You got all the performances down, and then you can worry about the tone for the album after the fact.
For sure, because I don't know if you find this, but if you have the wrong tone from your, even if it's a draft, sometimes it will lead the composition to another place because the tone is maybe not as it should be.
Tone is very important. Because having a bad tone can be so uninspiring, I find.
Yes, exactly.
It's very uninspiring. To play through a bad tone.
So that's why I bought the Neural.
We all nodded in approval when you said that.
Yeah. Cool. So the other guest you have on your album, another very special guest, Lindsay Schoolcraft from Cradle of Filth. I mean,
she's not in Cradle of Filth anymore, but she was for a while.
Yeah. Or she doesn't tour with them anymore?
No, she's been out of the band, I believe, for a little over a year now.
She has her own thing, right?
Yeah, she's doing her solo project.
Cool. But
she did the guest harpsichord part on the last song with Transcendence of Isolation. How that came to be was so when we were tracking the album, the original idea was to have that harpsichord part be just MIDI that I wrote in Guitar Pro, and they just converted that MIDI from Guitar Pro into like some harpsichord software. But my producer and I, Tyler Williams, we talked about it, and we just felt like as if just it didn't sound right. It's having like a MIDI harpsichord. We want something more authentic sounding. So he's been really good friends with Lindsay for a while. So he reached out to her, showed her like the little idea I had for it. And then she took my idea and it made it even better, made it much more authentic.
All right, that's
how
cool.
that came to be. Yeah.
Again,
awesome.
Some very, very professional collaborative efforts going on. I like it.
Yeah, and in the right dosage, was in French, in the right proportion, because it is a solo project, but then you got a sick drummer for your whole project, and you got that cool little featuring, and I mean that's a perfect
a cool little harpsichord feature at the end of the album on the last song.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs, along with the title track. Yeah, I really like that song. What else we can talk about? I was wondering. Obviously, you got your Cannibal Corpse shirt tonight. So your project is what I would qualify like melodic black metal, but I'm super into genres. I love to split everything apart. And of course there is some death metal elements in there, but mainly I would qualify melodic black metal. And I think your previous bands were more also on the black side. So my question to you is that like your main love is black metal and then other genres, or are you why don't you tell us a little bit about your inspirations and what you prefer in the metal sphere?
Yeah, I definitely say like the foundation of the sound of Malice Divine is like the much more melodic side of black metal, with some death metal and here and there, because I wouldn't say like Malice Divine is like pure black metal by any means.
Right.
I am basing like the sound off of like black metal, but I love throwing in like different elements, like death metal and thrash metal. I guess just like naturally, like the songs kind of went primarily a tiny bit more into black metal side of things.
Okay.
But I love black metal, but I also love like death metal, thrash, and stuff like that. Those are like my three like metal subgenres I like the most. So I like to combine those into like one unique sound.
Awesome, for sure. And I can even tell in your vocals, because I think 90% of the vocals or majority is black metal, but sometimes you do have that lower register in the songs, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a treat to have a vocalist who can do different ranges. Like, it's not a must-have because not many guys can do that. But the fact that you put in some different registers there, I thought it really gave the album even another layer there.
Thank you, man.
I also really like the use of open, like raked, strummed chords that you use in a lot of the tracks. Yeah. That adds a little bit of a black metal quality to it for me. But those dissonant...
like the open, like minor chords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the raked minor chords, it's definitely a very black metal thing to do for sure.
For sure. And how about lyric-wise? Did you have the themes in your head for a long time? Is lyrics really important? Somewhat important? Was it the last step on the album? This is something that differs from band to band.
Yeah, lyrically, I'd say it is pretty important because lyrics for me, it provides me like the opportunity to express myself essentially. Express things that would normally be like difficult to express to most people, because we all have like our own personal demons that we've gone through in life. So I'd say lyrics for me are definitely important just because of like just the personal expression that comes with them. So for that reason, the lyrics are definitely important for me.
Cool. And you've been writing them for as long as 2017 also, or more recently?
Actually, no. Of the lyrics were definitely like the last part of the creative process.
Okay.
So like even before like the lyrics are written, I'll have like an idea of like how I want like the vocal patterns to go.
Okay.
Like a rhythm for the vocals, and like I'll fit that in with like certain syllables at first, and then I'll put in the lyrics to like my ideas that I have for the vocal patterns.
Oh, that's
so
super
yeah, the lyrics
interesting.
are the last part of the creative process.
So sonically, man, you hear like a and then you write you kind of fit that syllable to the sound you want. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, something like that.
We have one of my Mexican friends asking if you are Mexican. I guess from your last name.
No, I'm not Mexican, but I am half Spanish technically because my father is from El Salvador, so
cool.
I am half Spanish.
Well, not too far from Mexico, Jan.
Yeah.
But don't start writing bad Mexican things in the chat. We'll have to ban you. Kidding. All right. One question I have for you. I have a lot, but one that I'm really interested to know is: did you had planned to tour the album? Obviously, with COVID now, it's all fucked up. But did you want to put a band together to actually play that music, or is it like a studio project?
Oh yeah, but the plan definitely is to eventually perform live with Malice Divine. I was actually, before the pandemic happened, I was planning to be able to start playing shows by like the end of 2020, but for obvious reasons that couldn't happen. But yeah, like once the pandemic is over, whenever that's going to be, I definitely do plan on putting a live lineup together so I can do some shows. Awesome. Starting in the Toronto area, and I definitely want to branch out, perform, in as many places as I can.
Cool. And we already have an idea of people that you would like to play with, or it would be like a start from scratch kind of approach?
Yeah, like I've already been talking to some people about like getting a live lineup together. So nothing just like confirmed like for sure yet.
Okay.
But there definitely has been some conversations, with some other musician friends of mine, about
cool.
Performing these songs live one day.
And have you had the chance to jam some of them with musicians yet, except from maybe Dylan in studio?
Oh no, haven't even jammed these songs at all with anybody. Even with Dylan, technically, we didn't even jam together because we didn't even like meet up. I just sent him the songs for Guitar Pro. He learned them. He went into the studio, modeled the productions, and he just banged out all the drum parts in like a couple of days. So we didn't even have to meet up. So that was the cool thing about, like working on music in the pandemic, you don't really have to like meet up with that many people.
That's kind of crazy because, usually a band, of course, you write music and you write a riff and then you can't wait to play it with your, as a full band in a basement or whatever and feel that power. So, but now you got an amazing project recorded, but you never played. Like that's surely gonna be a super treat for you once you.
Yeah, I can't wait till I'm able to like perform these songs live because I think they're gonna sound even better live in my opinion.
Oh no, for sure.
Just having the live energy and stuff like that.
Do you have a lineup already?
It's gonna be so much fun. No, nothing confirmed yet, but like I said, I've been talking to some people about eventually performing live yet, but nothing has been confirmed as of yet.
Okay.
And no, I think you mentioned the live element is gonna be better. I think so too because I mean the album is for me. I like dosage. How the fuck you pronounce this, Michael? This word.
What word?
The dosage, the quantity,
dosage.
Yeah, dosage. So I appreciate like even what we do, it's got some technicality, but not too much. Whereas live, you're gonna lose the spirit and the groove of the song. I think it's got just that those guitar runs or whatever is and drumming the same. Well, you got some pretty fast double beat there. You're gonna need a solid drummer live, I think. But
absolutely. It's some pretty like you said, very fast, drum parts for sure. A lot of the double bass at like 16th notes, like 200 BPM and faster. So yeah, it's going to be definitely a challenge. Hopefully Dylan will be available to perform live, but I'm sure he'll be able to handle it. I know he can.
Awesome. Cool. You talked about obviously I've seen you with your Jacksons everywhere on your Instagram, on your Facebook.
Yeah.
Are you like 100% Jackson guy, or do you have a few brands you like, or is that like that's the main?
I got a couple of brands I like. Lately, I have been like gravitating towards the Jacksons. I do have actually an Ibanez here, but I use for practicing sometimes, because I just want to have, like a different guitar, and like I can keep it standard tuning.
Okay.
Which is different than what Malice Divine use, because we tune to D standard.
Okay, so everything is D standard on the album?
Yeah, everything is D standard. But I like to have something that can keep it E as well, so that's why I got the Ibanez. I got it used off a friend of mine like a couple months ago. Yeah, like as far as like like performing publicly, it's been mostly like Jacksons for quite a while.
Cool. We have Stevie Ray Mom on the chat saying that he can play cowbell for you if you ever need one on live.
Yeah, I'll definitely hit you up, man. We definitely could use some cowbells. Definitely on the next album. We need lots of them.
That's cool.
Kidding.
That's cool. I'm some people know I'm stuck here in South America, and I came in without a guitar for the first time because I didn't know how traveling would be with COVID. But I did buy my first Jackson around there. It's a Dinky,
nice.
I think, and I really like it. I mean, it's tuned to drop C, so what we do, but they're good instruments for sure.
My first,
I love Jackson. Like for necks, just feel amazing.
And so when's the endorsement coming? You should be the next one on their list.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. If Malice Divine, like takes off, by the next album or the third album, we'll see. I think an endorsement of Jackson would be like awesome. That'll be like a dream come true.
Awesome. I mean, for the project, basically, yes, you released a few weeks ago. Obviously, it's still hot and fresh. What's your plans for the future? Because I'm sure you're always thinking. You're already thinking about another album. You want to take some time to relax after all this hard work, or what's cooking now for Malice Divine?
All right, now I'm definitely working on the second album. I have a lot of song ideas on the go.
Wow.
It's still very much like in its infancy stage. There's still like a lot of work to be done, but like the song structures are coming together, and I have so many like riffs.
Is the
probably
answer.
like into the hundreds actually. Like I have so many riffs, it's actually like overwhelming, and it's like hard to keep track of. Yeah, so
awesome. Because that was. Go ahead.
Like from all the riffs I have like on my cell phone and on my computer, it's definitely like well into the hundreds of like different ideas that I have. So yeah, there's a lot to work with right now for the second album. I think I probably have enough to work with for like albums 2 and then even a little bit into album 3, to be honest.
Jeez.
So yeah, I definitely don't want to like rest on my laurels like at all. I just want to keep going because build up so much good momentum from the self-titled debut, got to keep it going. So hopefully in like, I don't know, like a year and a half or 2 years from now, like I'll have a second album out.
Wow.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I had another question, which you just spoke briefly. Basically you said you had hundreds of riffs. So basically what's your composing, are you jamming on a guitar, and when you find a good riff, you're recording on your phone, just not lose it right away, or you always jam on your DAW on your computer, or what's your how do you come up with riffs basically?
Well, lately I've been jamming a lot with my Jackson going into my DAW, so I have like a lot of ideas like recorded on GarageBand. Sometimes like if I'm just like playing like without like my headphones on, if I'm playing for like a practice amp, then I got like a sound recorder app on my phone.
Yeah.
Voice memos app that I use.
Yeah.
Ideas. Yeah. And then sometimes, like, if I'm, jamming somewhere else in the house, or if, like, if I'm jamming, like, at a music store, then I'll just record it, like, on my cell phone, And then, I'll piece it together, like, probably first, like, in GarageBand, so I could have, like, a rough idea of, like, how the song is going to go. And then, like, once I have a better idea of, like, the song structure, then I'll start, tabbing everything out into Guitar Pro. And then from there, I'll fill in with, like, the rest of the instruments.
I have a follow-up question. Are you ever in public without a guitar of any kind, and you've got a riff stuck in your head, and you're just thinking to yourself, "I need a guitar"? Does that ever happen? And when it does, how do you handle it? Do you have a way to get that riff memorized or actualized?
Actually, yeah, that hasn't happened to me for quite a long time, but I remember, like, years ago that had happened to me a couple times. So essentially, like, what I did in those situations was just I literally just, like, sang the riff into my phone.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's a good
I just
idea.
like sang, like, like, the riff into my phone, and then, like, when I got home, I just picked up my guitar, and then I try to find, like, like, what notes would go best with, like, like, some idea.
I thought you were going to say, no, I just pull my guitar off my back, just like I'm brandishing that Claymore.
I just pull a guitar out of my pocket, and then, just start, jamming right there, in the middle of the street, out in public.
Yeah, one of those little Marshall amps that you clip on your belt.
We have some more. Sorry, we have some more questions from the chat. Stevie Ray Bob wants to know your main influences for your project.
Main influences? That's a great question. If I had to, like, list, like, a couple of bands, I say Dissection is definitely, a very obvious one for sure. Dissection. Also Death, Recipe Sucks Older. That's another really big one for me, is Death.
I knew it.
Skeleton Witch, I'd say, also as well as a big one. Immortal.
Nice.
Even, like, Behemoth and Morbid Angel and stuff like that. Creator. Even Opeth as well, and just Sandy,
nice.
Some progressive metal stuff as well. So I'd say, like, vote, and also probably Iron Maiden too, and Winter Sun.
Michael's favorite band. You basically just named all our favorite bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, those bands that I mentioned. Well, I'd say, like, if you put all those into, like, a blender, I'd say, like, that's, like, those are, like, the biggest influences from Malice Divine.
I can hear Dissection and Immortal in your music for sure. And Dissection is like the prime melodic black metal album, I believe. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, like, especially Storm of Lifespan is, like, a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Well, I have a follow-up question to Bob's question there. What are your lyrical influences?
Lyrical influences?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's a good question. Like, lyrically, I like to delve into different topics I'm interested outside of the music, like psychology, spirituality, a little bit of philosophy here and there. I say, like, those, and also I like to tie that stuff in with, just, like, my personal experiences, and, like, how I said before, like, just having the opportunity just to express, myself, So those are my main lyrical inspirations.
Yeah, especially
Nice.
I like the introduction of philosophy into your lyrical themes. Big thumbs up for me on that one.
That's fun.
Cool. I like songs about Satan and bitches. Okay. Okay, we have more questions. I mean, these are great questions from the chat. How many hours a day do you dedicate to your music? Let's say maybe when you're writing a project such as Quantum Manifestation.
Well, that's a good question because, with the album, obviously at least so many hours of work went into it. So it's really hard to, like, pinpoint, like, exactly how many hours per day. But I'll say, like, during, like, the songwriting process for Malice Divine, I'd say, like, maybe roughly around, like, 4 to 6 hours a day, give or take.
That's a lot. So you sit around with your guitar 4 to 6 hours a day. That's
not all at once. It's broken up because, like, if I went straight, that wouldn't be very productive at all.
Right.
But yeah, like, broken up, like, over the course of, like, a whole day, I'd say roughly between that range, give or take.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit less, but maybe a bit more. It's really tough to say, exactly. And then as far as, like, practicing, I'd say like roughly around the same amount of time, like approximately 4 to 6 hours a day, but not all at once. Just like spread out throughout the day. Amongst like my other obligations and stuff like that.
So basically, you on average you dedicate 4 to 8 hours a day to playing music, practicing, writing, more or less.
Yeah, probably on the lower side of it overall,
Right.
but whenever I have the time, I try to make sure to like get as much practice and songwriting time out of it as I can.
Cool. I can definitely tell from your project that either you have an amazing ear or you have some music theory or a little bit of both, because you're always in scale, everything. There's no carrying, soloing in there, or all. I mean, when you put two minor chords together, it's because you really want to. It's like a black metal thing. So I'm curious to know, and also some guys have asked in the chat. How's your music theory, or is it an important tool to your composing, or really it's your ear?
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty big tool for my composing, because like I know like there's a lot of guys out there who say that they use mostly for ears, and I do too. I think all musicians to extent use ears, but I really like music theory a lot. I think it's a really good tool to use for being creative with music.
Mm-hmm.
And like whenever I like go out of key, it's because I want to create like a certain kind of effect with the music. Like I know like what to do in order to produce like a certain sound. So like if I incorporate 2 or more minor chords like technically aren't like in the same key,
right?
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, and I was saying that that's a super black metal thing to do. You just play all the minor chords, but but the dosage again, that's the word of it. I like to use words I don't know how to pronounce.
Everything's chromatic at the end of the day.
But the philosopher on Burke says. No, but I was going to say the diatonic part, like the melodic part, with the parts that make it black metal. Again, it's very well dosed on your project.
Thank you.
Yeah. Man, I'm one of my last question about the project itself. I'm very curious to know, because I've seen accolades coming from all sides. Of course, I follow you on social media. People follow Ric Galvez everywhere. Malice Divine. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. What is some of the accolades that you're really proud, or that that so far that you've seen? Of course, I'm sure there's more coming.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't really pinpoint down just like one particular like comment or anything. Just all I can say is I'm just like really happy about the very positive reception, generally speaking, that I received towards the album. It's definitely exceeded like my expectations. Like I knew like the album would do well, but I wasn't expecting to have like as many positive reviews coming in as they have been. So just in general, I'm just very happy. Just that people really like the music overall.
Cool. I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer, because every week we try to pick 2 Canadian bands to showcase, and so I do have kind of a lot to pick from. But when I came across your project, it was like an instant, like, what the fuck? Like we need. And then when I figured out it was a solo project, even more blew my mind. I was like, this
like that's the funny thing actually, because like at first, like a lot of people seem to think like it's a band. You can just tell by like the way people word things. Like a couple of times I received like a message like on Instagram, like, "Hey, you guys are like so good. I hope you keep going. You'll be famous one day," or something like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of it's very flattering, but at the same time it makes me like chuckle a little bit. Because like do they know that like this is pretty much like a solo project with a session drummer? So. Yeah.
And on moving forward, is that what you would like to continue doing, or would you like to go back to working with bands one day? Or of course, you already mentioned that you have enough material solo for 2-3 albums, but I'm curious to know: are you going to keep it like more on a composer, profile, or do you want to you start composing with other people as well?
I'd say like I'm definitely going to keep it more so on like, the composer solo project side of things.
Okay.
With that being said, like I'm still like open to suggestions for like other people I'm working with, like, a session musician I'm working with, or like a guest musician, or like the engineer I'm working with. I'm still like open to suggestions. And, there has been some suggestions that came in from like the engineer and like even from Dylan that like when I heard it back was like, wow, that's a fantastic idea. That makes the song even better. So let's go with it. But like, overall, I definitely want to keep it a solo project because, like I said before, I like to just visualize, everything together with like all the instruments. I have a very strong vision of like how I want all the instruments to go and how I want them to, to work together. So I think in that sense, I think it would be better if I just kept it like as a solo project, to be honest, and then, work with like, a good session drummer, get like whatever guest musician I need to for, any other instrument that I may need in the future, get a good live lineup together. And honestly, I think I'll be very content with that.
Wow, that's awesome. And another question we have in the chat leading to the following that question is, do you ever get writer's block from writing everything alone? And do you have any tactics for getting out of it when it happens? Or
Yeah, I have actually kind of writer's block. Even like a couple of years ago, when I was working on the writing of this album, there was definitely some times where like I actually did encounter writer's block. Okay. And the thing that I always, I would always do in order to like, eventually break past that is like, I would like take like, a break from like focusing on writing my own music. And then, I'll go like learn how to play songs that I haven't learned how to play yet from like, from other bands and stuff like that, like I might go learn how to play like, like a Never Dissection song or a Never Death song or like an Opeth song or something like that, or I might, like learn like a new scale that I haven't really, explored that much yet. Essentially I would just try to learn something new. And then that usually ends up, inspiring me again and, gets me through like any creative blocks that I may be in.
Brilliant, man. I mean, that's like the right answer. I feel like there is a right answer, and it is because Michael and I are really big advocate about learning covers, because always learning music. Because, for example, when Alexi Laio died, I never had played really Children of Bottom. I had the riffs in my head, but I never actually played them. And once I start playing, it really gives me ideas. What the fuck is he doing? Like I never thought of playing that way. And of course, every different guitarist have different ways of playing stuff, and for sure that can spark an idea, as well as you said, learning a new scale or fucking around with some different patterns,
or like learning like a new like theoretical idea or like a new chord progression or rhythm or something like that. Essentially, it just comes down to like just learning things that can take you out of your comfort zone. That'll hopefully trigger like new ideas in your mind.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Man, we got great questions in the chat. When do you actually decide that a song is over, that everything is perfect, and that it's ready to be
that's a really good question, but also a really tough one.
Yeah,
not really sure how to answer that. I say like it really comes down to like just when it just feels right.
Yeah,
it's like it needs to feel good, with like with what you've written, That's when in my opinion, like when a song is finished, when it just feels right.
This feels right.
Yeah,
for sure. Cool. Well, I mean, to wrap up the talk about your project, and I'm sure we'll get back to it because I have other questions, following that. But you have some great merch on sale. Can you please tell to the listeners where they can buy the merch? I already mentioned in episode 2, but let's plug you in one more time.
Yeah. Well, you can buy the merch from our Bandcamp page, which would be malicedivine.bandcamp.com, I believe is the URL. We got we got shirts, hoodies, CDs normally, although at the moment, as of right now, we're technically sold out. But I do have some more CDs coming in very soon. So I'm
Awesome.
hoping in like the next couple of days after this interview, I'll have, some more CDs arrive at my house, and they'll be, posted online that, more CDs have arrived. But yeah, as of
Awesome.
right now, the main pieces of merch we have is, physical CDs, T-shirts, and zip-up hoodies.
Awesome. So I'll put this link on the YouTube description also for sure, and
Awesome.
I'll get myself a T-shirt for sure.
Awesome.
I got a bunch of merch waiting for me in Edmonton. Like I've been here since October. I'm heading back home, hopefully, and sometimes like in May, and I'll have all these presents to open.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You like merch a lot too. We spoke before the interview. You before the video. You just got this long sleeve.
Yeah, I just got this long sleeve in the mail. Actually, I also ordered a Bathory long sleeve as well at the same time as this of Under the Side of the Black Mark. That's my favorite Bathory album, so I got that. And I also ordered a Winter Sun T-shirt as well.
Oh wow!
So
cool.
So that I should be getting pretty soon. And I also collect patches, for my denim jacket too.
Hey, hell yeah, for sure, me too. I'm already working on my second one, so I'm very excited.
I'm still working on my first, and honestly, like I'm fine with just having one of them. That's a lot of work.
You know what? That's how I was thinking a year ago. And now I'm already.
I'm thinking about patching up a blazer.
I have too many patches. It's not gonna work anymore.
Yeah, actually, I just got a Vader one in the mail not so long ago. I wanted to put on my jacket. Yeah.
Cool. Sorry. Hey man, let's talk about some. It's been since every episode on the show we talk about live shows, because now with COVID, it's a part of our identity, a part of our love, and metal is out of order. So I wanted to know, do you go to a lot of live shows? You love live shows. What's the last live show you saw, and any live shows you were going to see that were canceled?
Yeah, I love going to live shows. Like before the pandemic happened, I was lucky enough to see a couple. Not like as much as I would typically before, because I was really busy with like school and like finishing the album. But like before the pandemic happened, I got to catch Vader. That was pretty awesome. They played with Abysmal Dawn, Hideous Vanity, and Vitriol.
Nice.
That was the last show that I catch before the pandemic happened. And then also November of 2019, I caught Cannibal Corpse, so that was awesome. Yeah. And then in September of 2019, I caught Revocation.
Wow.
They played with Voivod, Skeletor Remains, Necroptic, and another band I can't remember, but it was a very stacked bill, so I saw that one. Yeah, that was a really good one. And then, of course, summer 2019, I saw Iron Maiden as well, so
cool.
Those are the last couple of shows that I saw before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, Maiden was my last show as well.
Yeah, I saw the Maiden tour, same as you. I saw the Cannibal Corpse show too. I missed the Revocation Voivod thing, and as a French Canadian,
that was a great show.
As a French Canadian, Dan Mongrain on playing with Voivod, he's like the idol of David Davidson from Revocation. So I would love to meet him. Yeah. I've seen in Quebec, I've seen him play with Dan Bigra, like with some random pop singers. But also with Cryptopsy, this guy is amazing. He does everything. And,
he's fantastic. And just being able to see him, and then Dave Davison, the set afterwards, that was fucking awesome. Actually, a couple years ago, I used to take some online lessons from Dave Davison.
Oh wow!
Yeah, back in 2015, awesome. I took about 3 or 4 Skype lessons with him. So he introduced me to some cool ideas. So yeah, it was really cool doing that with him.
For those who don't know, David Davidson of Revocation, graduate of Berklee School of Music, I think.
Yeah, so he's also another university-educated musician, just like me. Because
you do, yeah. I saw.
Yeah, I went to York University where I haven't technically graduated, but I'm about to graduate. I'm about to graduate with my honors degree in music, where I
Wow.
did a lot of classical guitar.
I went to Grant McEwen.
Yeah.
Only completed 2 years though.
Yeah.
Not as prestigious.
So you're about to graduate from York with a musical degree.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm actually right now. I'm working on my last course for my degree at the moment.
Cool.
Online.
I saw that on your Facebook. I was trying to leading up to that question, but I wasn't sure. You know, some musicians sometimes they put Berkeley, but they never been in Boston in their life.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that's
it
cool.
Would be cool, but like it would be cool to go to Berkeley, but I didn't feel like moving to Boston, so it's like,
oh fuck it,
I'm just gonna stay in Toronto and like just go to a music school here. Worked out pretty cool for me.
Head over to the UK and go to John Lennon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people that don't know, you're pretty active on social media, I would say, and I like your post, and I think was it today that album Symbolic was 26 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said that was the album that brought you into death metal, and I was curious to know, like, when did you make that switch from non-death to the death camp? Because that's kind of the main question I like to ask people in death metal. Like me and Michael, we talk about this often. We all have that.
I'd say just a parallel with the Symbolic post. So it was definitely when I discovered that album, because that was really when I started against death metal. Because before I heard death, I heard Cannibal Corpse, and for someone that never heard death metal before, that was definitely too much at first.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I ended up getting really into Cannibal Corpse because I'm wearing a Cannibal Corpse shirt right now. But when I was in grade 8, another friend of mine at school, he showed me a copy of Death Symbolic, and that was like a great gateway to death metal, because it was super heavy, but like the vocals like weren't like nearly as guttural as like Cannibal Corpse. So it was definitely a gateway for getting me into death metal and extreme metal in general. And then after that, I got into like Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse and Deicide, and then eventually like melodic death metal like Amon Amarth and Children of Bodom and stuff like that, Winter Sun. So I'd say really death was especially with Symbolic was what got me into the more extreme side of metal.
I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Interesting anecdote though, the difference being I was actually being hired to play rhythm guitar in a guy's death metal band, and I'd never played death metal before, but he really appreciated my talent. So I was like, what should I do? And he's like, go listen to this album, and he handed me Symbolic. we even did a cover of Misanthrope.
Nice.
Yeah, it's such a good album. Like,
oh yeah,
that's like the quintessential like death album, in my opinion. Like if I had to like show like one album to someone to introduce them to death, it would be Symbolic for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it shows in your album, if you ask me.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely some riffs like on the album which definitely reminds me of like Symbolic and like Sound of Perseverance or at Death for sure. So I'm always glad to hear that they can hear some little bit of Chuck Schuldiner in there.
Yeah, well, they're all good. For me, I prefer the old school death metal vibe of death. Like I'm more like a Scream Bloody Gore Leprosy type of guy. But
I love that. Yeah, I think every single death album's been fantastic. Like Death never released like a bad album like at all.
Right. And you do have some proggy idea already on Symbolic, and that I think was a question on the chat earlier. How do you feel about prog metal, whether it's prog death or prog? Well, you already mentioned you like Opeth, but apart from that, you like the proggy vibe, or?
Yeah, I definitely do like the proggy vibe. Like, I wouldn't say like I'm as much of a prog guy as someone like Dylan is. He's known for being like the prog guy. There's definitely some progressive metal about like I already mentioned like Opeth and like Just Handy and stuff like that, but I also really like Mastodon a lot too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mastodon I've really liked a lot for a while. Even some Gojira is pretty cool.
Sure.
Man, you keep getting more thumbs up from me every second.
Also, like even like for the more proggy side of black metal, like Enslaved, it's another great band.
Yeah. I saw them live.
I like progressive metal.
Enslave is awesome, man, for sure. Cool. And how about the brutality? So Cannibal Corpse, do you dabble into tech death? Do you dabble into deathcore? Do you dabble into slam? Do you dabble into the aggressive, brutal subgenres, or not really?
Not really deathcore slam, but like, yeah, technical death metal, I definitely do like. And I think, you can definitely hear a little bit of that at times in Malice Divine's music.
Mm-hmm.
With certain riffs, like especially like in Malicious of Vanity and In Time. Like those, I think those two songs out of the entire album, definitely you hear like probably like the closest to technical death metal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Even though we're definitely not technical death metal, but like but like you can definitely hear there's a little bit of a technical death metal influence in there.
Some ideas.
In Time was my favorite track on the album.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the favorites that I've heard from our people.
Which you did a playthrough for also, right?
Yeah, I did a vocal and guitar playthrough. Actually, fun fact about In Time, that was actually a song that I originally wrote for the band I was in before, Rostov for Garnet.
Oh, okay.
But after we parted ways, I decided to keep that song for myself from Malice Divine. I wrote my own lyrics and vocal patterns to the music, and
I don't blame you one bit, man.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if you're gonna fire me, I'm gonna keep like my own music. So.
Well, I mean, there are lots because it's also one of my favorite cuts on the album, and people go see the playthroughs of Ric. They're really well made, because we see you playing every instrument.
Are they on the YouTube channel?
And everything?
Well, not every instrument yet. Like so far, for the two playthroughs I did was just like guitar and vocals. But for the other two playthrough videos that I got, coming up pretty soon, I'll be doing vocals, guitar, and bass.
Right. So for me, it's all the instrument, because drums not an instrument, and who cares about that?
Hey.
Well, I like playing bass. Bass is actually a lot of fun.
I'm kidding. Me too. Yeah. I'm the same. We're the same way. Me and Michael, we can love music from every style, and we appreciate every instrument. And that's another question. Outside of metal, do you listen to other genres? Do you like country, rap? Do you listen to other stuff?
Yeah, like I definitely do like some other stuff outside of metal. Like obviously, like most of what I listen to is metal, but like I like some punk rock. Like the Misfits and Dead Kennedys and stuff like that. I like a little bit of classic rock. Like Rush, Pink Floyd, stuff like that. And I also like some classical guitar music as well. I like classical music. So I'd say like whenever I do listen to something that's like not metal, like that's usually what I do gravitate towards.
Still rock, still there.
Still the rock side of things, but
still guitar music. All right, right on. And so the first time I saw you, it was on Shredders of Metal. Was a guitar competition posted on the YouTube channel of Banger TV, where Dylan, who recorded drums with you, is a host. Obviously, Sam Dunn leading the whole show, put out the classic Headbangers Journey videos. And it's funny because when I saw it, I did want to send. I didn't want to go also, but I was like, fuck no, there's going to be Shredders there. They're going to completely blow me in the water. But it was really interesting to see you there. And I was wondering how did you, what came into your mind? Like, there was a lot of audition, did a lot of preparation go into it?
Yeah, we had to send them an audition, video. And then whoever they like the best, the 7 or 8 they like the best, that's who they chose, to get on the show. And then after that, you had 2 weeks to prepare. For the actual filming, which in my opinion wasn't really enough time. But hey, it's what it is, and he's got to do the best he can with the amount of time that you have. And just 2 weeks just to get prepared for it. I mean, that's it.
And you did good on the show, if I remember correctly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did an okay job. I don't think I did as well as I normally would, if I had more time to prepare, because there was a lot of challenges to prepare for it. It was actually pretty overwhelming, to be honest. But like, I think given like it was only 2 weeks and like how nervous I was, I think I did pretty good. You know.
Oh yeah, you did good. I remember. I remember not cringing, so that's good. No disrespects to the other contender, but was that the first round or the second round you were in? The first
actually,
version?
I did both seasons 1 and 2 actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, I was in both seasons of the guitar ones at least. Yeah.
And okay, so the first winner was the Vesperia guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, Frankie.
Yeah, and then we got Nick Nocturnal, I think, on the second.
He won the second one, but it was fun. You know.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I agree with the winners. Did you watch also the drum version?
I did actually. You know, the drum one was like fantastic. Like all the drummers sounded awesome. You know, the tones were fantastic. You know, nobody really complained about it. Unlike the guitar ones, where like everybody was like bitching about like how the guitar tone wasn't that good or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever. It is what it is.
Cool. And did that make you? Did you learn anything from that? Did it make you a better player? Did that make you want to practice more after? Or
I did make you want to practice more. Actually, a funny thing is, shortly after the second season, actually I took some lessons from Frankie, the guy who won season 1. I took some lessons from him for about like 2-3 months or something like that.
Oh wow!
You know, from like taking lessons from him, like my technique got like even better. You know, after that, I think like I'm a much better guitar player now, just from like going through like those 2 seasons and like all the lessons I've learned from that. You know.
Well, Frankie is amazing. I'd like to compliment you also on your solo, on your guitar leads on your album. I think again, the dosage is perfect. It's every lick, every run is thought of. You can hear that it's not just random soloing random notes. You know, you got patterns in there, and it complements the whole song.
I appreciate that a lot because I put in like a lot of effort to like make my solos like as memorable as possible, and I tried my best to follow like the chord progression of what the guitar is doing, as best as I can. So really appreciate hearing that.
For sure, Dave Davidson and Frankie, get out of here! Like that's two of the best guitar players for soloing. Probably
I took lessons for both of them, so they can turn out for me.
Cool. What about lately? You listen to a lot of newer metal? Do you follow like weekly release like I do, for example, or you're because I understand someone like you spending so much time composing your own stuff, you must not have much time like me to listen to all the. But I'm curious to know.
Like, I haven't been following as much as I would like with weekly releases. Like there's definitely a couple of releases I've checked out that I really liked. For example, the American black metal band Uwada. They released an album last year called Jin that I really liked. That was a fantastic album.
What's the band name?
Uwada. Yeah.
Oh, Uwada.
Really great black metal band. Her latest album is fantastic. I really like that. But I haven't really been delving too much into full releases for a while. I've been checking out new bands, when I got the time.
Cool.
Give some songs a listen.
All right.
But I like to eventually delve even more into newer releases, because I know there's a ton of newer music coming out that's really good.
Yeah, for sure. Great mention. I on my personal YouTube page I covered Snakes and Vultures.
Oh, that's a great song.
That's a really good song. For me, it was a challenge because it's a 9-minute song. It was just a challenge to see if I could memorize a 9-minute song.
Oh wow!
But that was fun one to learn, because I'm not super big into black metal, but that album was great. 2019 album for sure. Cool.
Anyways, guys, I really should get going pretty soon because I got some stuff to take care of.
All right.
No worries.
Well, before we leave you, do you want to give yourself a plug? Tell people where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, for sure. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Just type in Malice of Vine. into the bar there. Then maliceofmine.bandcamp.com is where you can find the album as well.
Cool.
Yeah, we will share all the relevant information on the appropriate areas of the description for the video once it gets uploaded. And so it's been a very, very awesome conversation, and we've loved having you on the podcast. So
thank you so much, Rick.
Sure, man. No problem, guys.
Would like to wish
have a good one.
Yeah, a good day.
See ya, guys.
See ya, man. Thanks.
No problem.
Oh, you're still on, Rick.
Okay.
Don't start.
Right,
I'll just kick him.
Don't start the porn right now. Well, what a guess. That was awesome.
I'm missing you now. Where the hell are you? I'm missing you on the video.
I'm missing you.
Here we go. Hold on. Nope, that's the wrong one. Zoom meeting. There we are. Oh, we had a comment from Ironblooded 89.
Yeah.
During that discussion about the podcast that I completely zoned out on because I didn't know what you guys were talking about. Ironblooded 89 said, "Do what sounds good to you, brother." What was that? Just to give a quick breakdown to anyone who was listening. What were you talking about there? What was the show?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Or are you talking to? What do you mean? What show?
That last conversation you were just having there. I just want some extra context for myself and also for anybody who was watching.
Oh no, he was talking about the band UADA. UADA.
No. I'm talking about the show that you were talking about that he was on.
Shredders of Metal. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's on Banger TV YouTube channel.
It's a Banger TV show. Okay.
So Banger TV is pretty much, I would say, the greatest Canadian metal produced show on YouTube.
Yeah.
They do album after Metal Mondays, of course, but they do album reviews. Obviously, it's from Sam Dunn, the guy who put out like I mentioned, the two DVDs. One is a Headbanger's Journey, and the other is Global Metal. So he helped greatly in defining the subgenres of metal, making trees, and for me, that's what I love. And for every subgenre, like brutal death metal and progressive death metal, hardcore, he made a tree. And they always choose like a fundamental band who started it all, and then some key bands. And what the cool thing is that you had hundreds of metalheads live approving or rejecting what was going on the metal tree. So if you're a metalhead and you have anything to say, if you were live and you had your chance to say something, if not, then you have to shut the fuck up and approve the tree as it is. Well, it made some pretty good trees, and it's funny because before he did this, because the first time he did was with the Headbanger's Journey, I think in 2000, early 2000s to mid 2000s. And there was a lot of controversy with his trees because he, some clearly some were in the wrong branches, but overall it was good. It was a great idea. So Banger TV, Shredders of Metal was a guitarist competition, and he mentioned there was the two first series. So it's a series, it's an elimination. It ran for like a week every day. And from 8 contestants to semifinals to finals, and he was on the two first series which showcased guitar players, and I think he did, if I remember correctly, he did good on both the series. He didn't win, obviously, we talked about that, but he did good on both. And the third series was a drumming competition. This happened last summer. But it's a fun little show, it's very light, but it was fun to see.
All right, well, I'm gonna cue up the music here, and we're probably gonna go on our outro. Do you have anything you want to add real quick?
Yeah, I have another half hour to talk about. I'm kidding.
Well, there was one news article I actually wanted to get into with him, but unfortunately he wasn't able to stick around. But I wanted to talk about the Lemmy bullet action.
Yeah. There's nothing more metal than this.
Yeah, it's not. No, do you know what? There's nothing more Lemmy than this.
But tell the people, they need to know.
Well, let me just pull it up. Because it's not on
Let
my
me
usual
just-
go-to source. It's on Loudwire.
Let me put it up.
Here we are. I got it on my phone, so I got to crane my neck here. Lemmy Kilmeister's ashes were put into bullets sent to his closest friends. I don't think you need to read any more of the article.
That's all I read.
Yeah. It's hard to believe more than 5 years have passed. Holy shit. It is hard. That's 5 years since he died. I can't believe that. Wow.
So ashes
Makes
and
me feel
bullets to all his closest friends.
So 5 years have passed since Lemmy passed away from cancer. The Motorhead icon truly lived life at his own speed, with the bullet-belted bassist arranging a metal as fuck post-mortem plan for his ashes. Before his death, Lemmy asked for his ashes to be put in some bullets and handed out to his closest friends. That is awesome. There's nothing not awesome about that. That is amazing. I kind of want to do that myself.
So people in the I also people in the chat like Stevie Ray Bob, who I know for a fact has a big tattoo of Motorhead, should try to acquire one of these said bullets.
Yeah.
Hey man. Other than that, I'm just gonna mention really quickly the band from our first episode, Atalum, released the full album last Friday. So check that out, guys, if you haven't already. Atalum, their first LP. Another Montreal band called Depths of Hatred put out a great deathcore album, kind of deathcore with some metalcore clean vibes, which usually I don't like, but it's an amazing album. I'll put that in the description. And another local band I would like to plug is from Toronto, a band named Aversus, put out an amazing EP. It's kind of a prog death vibe. It's kind of a voivod, but like a death metal voivod type of thing from Toronto. Some great local bands. Maybe we'll showcase them in the upcoming episode. But thanks for being here. And which guest we should have next? Please comment what you think, and did you like the guest? Would you like more guests? Would you like more reviews? Would you like us to start strip teasing? Would you?
Well, I think we're going to continue with this format because this was very entertaining to me.
Yeah, me too.
I was very happy with the conversation, and it was nice to finally get to meet the master behind the music. But with that being said. Yeah, with that being said, I think it's probably a good time to head on out. So he's been Phil, I've been Michael, aka MTJ Disorder, and this was Metal Mondays. Thanks for watching.